something that I saw you were, quite adamant about over the weekend was the flag planting from my alma mater in Columbus, Ohio, and your take on it.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm bringing it up dovetails with mine. Isn't that interesting? And and the fact that I just could not believe the HC of TOSU was standing there.
Yeah.
Watching this thing. I mean, you've been in situations, I imagine, on the field after a game when things are kind of a bit hazy. Is that what was going on with him, do you think?
I think that he was shocked by the fact that he lost that game. I would suggest that was the worst loss of any coach this year. I would also suggest Ryan Day took the worst loss of his coaching career, NFL included, when he wasn't a head coach. I would also suggest there was not a more plausible worst loss to be had by any coach this year than the loss that Ryan Day took this year. So I think in that moment, he was in pure and utter shock. I also believe a lot of things cross your mind as an athlete and a coach in that moment. I think the first thing is, am I going to get fired? What in the hell just happened? How did that just happen? Where could I end up coaching next? Like, I think so much goes through your head in moments like that I don't think a lot of people realize. I think he was frozen, but you do not have the luxury of being frozen as a head coach at the Ohio State.
I know. Certainly when, one of your warriors, one of your 11 warriors is melting down right in front of you, that kid Jack Sawyer who came with a huge pick on the goal line,
bro. I think
in this game,
Rich, I believe what Ryan Day, his freezing after the game, I think that was more egregious than anything he did during the game.
Come on.
I think wholeheartedly. After the game, there are tons of people, your players included, are on the field in a brawl. Keep in mind, you can still go win a national championship.
Yeah.
Michigan cannot. They won the battle. Congrats to them. Tip your hat to them if you will. You can go win the war. But if your players get suspended because they're fighting, now you might both lose the battle and lose the war. A Hall of Fame college football coach, he told me, never let one loss beat you twice. You just lost to Michigan. That's the first loss. If you now lose players because they're fighting at midfield, that's your second loss. Never let one loss beat you twice. Watching him frozen there was despicable to me. To me.
Do you think they deserve to have a home game in the college football playoffs right now? My way of segueing, I guess, to the other story of our sports day is what the College Football Playoff Committee put out for the field of 12.
I don't think they deserve to have a home game. I think they had a couple big shots. They lost their first big shot against Oregon, obviously. You could suggest they won the big shot against Penn State. Whatever you think of Penn State, I don't think all that highly of Penn State. And then Indiana, again, not sure how highly we all think of Indiana. No, they obviously don't deserve to have a home game. They won't get a home game, clearly.
But they're currently in line to get one right now against Tennessee. You think that things
you're referencing. I was thinking about the bye. Do they deserve to have a home game? Yeah, give them a home game. I was thinking about, do they deserve to get the bye?
Got it.
Do they have a home game? Yes. At the end of the day, you still beat a scorching hot Indiana team. But I have a philosophy on college football in general. But
all right,
in theory,
Emmanuel
you beat a
Acho.
Scorching hot Indiana
What
team.
is your in general philosophy?
Here's the dilemma. Because of how we rank teams, then you will beat ranked teams based upon where we ranked teams before we ever knew if the teams were good or not. You tracking with me? So
I do.
The SEC, you have all these meaningful wins against SEC opponents. Well, that's just because they were ranked high before we ever knew if they were worth the crap or not. So you beat a team that was ranked, but they were only ranked based upon a preseason poll.
Well, in the same way you look at the NFL, it's just like, wow, that's a really tough schedule that they're playing. And then by the middle of the season, suddenly you just played, of their first 8 games, 2 of them were only winning because of what their records are right now, and then things change at the very end. Or let's just say you're somebody who does a 3-hour sports talk radio and television show that once upon a time thought the Bills weren't going to win the division, and you said such a thing.
Oh, you were on that highlight tape too.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
We were both on it, Rich.
But we made these decisions before a game was played.
1,000%.
But that's just the nature of our beast,
the
is it not,
difference,
Emmanuel?
for this is like in the NFL, at least the teams you beat don't have bearing on your playoff implications based upon some sort of strength of schedule.
Right.
In college football, it's all predicated upon strength of schedule. Everything is predicated upon, we beat 5 ranked opponents. Well, how good are those ranked opponents now?
Or they were ranked at the time and they're no longer ranked.
Correct.
Or when you beat them, they weren't ranked, but look at them now.
Exactly. Like when I talk about a team like Indiana, my suggestion, I said, Ohio State scored 31 unanswered points against Indiana. Y'all really think 11 other teams are letting Ohio State score 31 unanswered on them? When people are like, oh, Indiana's all that good. Ohio State scored 31 unanswered. So how good is Indiana really? You know, obviously Indiana's a great story, but there's a difference between a great story and a great team. Good team, but they're not necessarily a great team. But I think they're currently seated. What are they sitting at? 8? You know what I mean? Like they're currently seated there. Like they're a great team. Phenomenal story. I love what Cignetti's doing, but I just think that's one of the philosophical flaws in college football.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what it's like to have 31 unanswered scored on your team by Ohio State.
Wow.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.